Preliminary to the inaugural meeting of the General Assembly of the United Nations, the King gave a state banquet to the delegates at St. James's Palace. As in these shots with Mr. Bevin and America's Mr. Byrnes, His Majesty talked freely and informally to his guests for more than an hour after dinner. No other state banquet has ever been photographed. These pictures were taken in the Queen Anne drawing room by order of the King. Already named the Banquet of Peace, this informal gathering launched the world's most momentous conference. Westminster's Central Hall, decked with the flags of 51 nations, is chosen to house the Assembly. The honor of the first major speech went to Mr. Attlee. At the end of it, he said,
"We who are here gathered today in this ancient home of liberty and order are able to meet together because thousands of brave men and women have suffered and died that we may live. It is for us today, bearing in mind the great sacrifices that have been made, to prove ourselves no less courageous in approaching our great task, no less patient, no less self-sacrificing. We must, we will succeed."
Shock item came when Russia proposed an alternative to Mr. Spaak as president.
The Soviet delegation considers that the question of electing president of a session of the General Assembly is an important question. Weighing the candidatures which have recently been mentioned in connection with the coming election of the president of this session of the Assembly, the Soviet delegation has come to the conclusion that the most appropriate candidature would be that of the Foreign Minister of Norway, Mr. Lee.
Russia's suggestion of an election by a show of hands was rejected, and Royal Marines gave out voting papers for a secret ballot. Delegates record their votes in UNO's first election. This meeting, as Mr. Attlee said in his speech, recognizes the truth of the phrase Monsieur Litvinov once used at Geneva: peace is indivisible. 26 years ago on this same day, the League of Nations was born. We have learned many things since then. Today, as the United Nations sit at work together, we hope that a bright new age has begun.
Number of votes cast, 51. 23 votes were cast for Mr. Lee, and 28 votes were cast for Monsieur Spaak. In accordance with the rules of procedure, I declare Monsieur Spaak elected president.